when Jason Coble and I spoke, in that interview, and then one of the previous emails I read, for a podcast from a first responder, there's some things that are going to develop patterns, and you'll see them on this channel, and you may see them on others. First I want to thank Sean Ryan for the interview that he did with me. That's really what's kicking all this off for me, and really built my passion, and made me realize I could do this. And then David Nino Rodriguez, man, that guy, you just can't talk to him without smiling. But I want to thank him too, because without him and the interview that he did with me, I wouldn't have had that exclamation point at the end of my hope to do this. So realize I'm doing this full time. That's my dream. That's my hope. I believe that's what first responders deserve from me. I can't be in that field anymore. I can't be in law enforcement anymore. That's been made very clear to me. So any questions about that, Google my name. There's so much out there about me and my situation, what happened with my incident. But this is what I want to do now. This is my passion. I believe this is what God intends for me to do. I think this is the path that He gives me, and I intend to follow it to the very end. So with that being said, I've got a Venmo and I've got a PayPal. Venmo is at support-Hallgrimson, my last name. And then the PayPal is ghallgrimson at live.com, Live, V as in Victor. And then I have another Venmo that's just at ghallgrimson. But any contributions or anything like that to support this channel, to support the building of what I plan to get going here is definitely appreciated. Now enough with that. First responders have got so much on their mind, throughout the course of their career, from the very first day, the very first call you go on, you've got so much on your mind. And I know I'm talking about first responders, but I'm also talking to them. I know the first responders that I always dealt with on the Kansas side and the Missouri side were always great people. They knew when to let you do your job, and as long as you knew when to let them do theirs, everything was wonderful. If you're not certified in CPR, don't jump on that cart and start giving CPR and get in their way. Learn your place, do your job, do your calling to the very best of your ability. In my career, in the beginning, I was called a traffic Nazi, because I wrote a lot of citations. I made a lot of traffic stops, but I wanted to be in interdiction so bad. I knew that the route to that was traffic stops, and every stop I made was, obviously it was a good stop. Somebody 18, 20 miles an hour over the speed limit, or somebody that just cut somebody off, or a hit and run, or whatever it may be. Somebody that almost ran over a pedestrian in a crosswalk. There were a lot of things that went on in my career early that helped shape me into being a chief of police that really cared for his guys and really watched out for them. As a chief, I tried my very best to be the first one in the door and the last one out. I was, my whole time as a chief, I was booting doors, crawling through windows, jumping fences, getting in foot pursuits, getting in vehicle pursuits. I couldn't take myself away from the street. I couldn't take myself away from that part of the job. I set some officers of mine down and went over how to develop a CI, a confidential informant. And by the end of that week, man, two of them had confidential informants. It was incredible. You guys soak up so much, and I'm so grateful to have been able to work with the people I worked with. Now I want to help as much as I possibly can. And hopefully this channel will accomplish that. So with that train of thought, let's dive into something here. As officers, as first responders, whether you're fireman, paramedic, emergency room nurse, pediatric nurse, doctor, it doesn't matter what you are, field medic, an MP. How many times do you go back to the PD, to the station, go into the squad room and grab the guys that were on the call with you and put your arms around each other and just kind of have a little huddle and talk about it, get it out? How many times does that happen? I know in my career, it was a really rare thing. We were all too proud. We didn't want anybody to ever see us as weak in any way, shape, or form. It's a different age now, and we're figuring out that all those things that we've stuck away in those little boxes in the corners of our minds, they come out when we absolutely don't want them to, and they surprise us. I was at a pool, a neighborhood pool, a couple of years ago after my incident. It's been a couple of years ago now. I was at this pool. The sun's shining, it's hot out, hanging out, having a good afternoon, with a significant other, and we just hanging out. And I was in the pool. She went to get out of the pool and climbed up the ladder to get out, and I was following her. And as I started to climb up that ladder, I thought I heard somebody call my name from the water, from the pool. And when I turned and looked back at that pool, man, I 100% saw that little girl, that little baby, floating face down in that pool. 100%. That's exactly what I saw. There wasn't a single person in that pool when I looked. All I saw was that baby. In reality, there were probably 35, 40 people in that pool, and there was no baby. None. But I freaked. And I bounced off of that ladder back into the pool, and I started thrashing around. And when I got out of that water finally, I was so freaked out. I couldn't stop crying. I couldn't stop screaming. Nothing would stop for me. There was no way to force it. Right when I thought I had a handle on it, I'd start freaking again. I got put in a vehicle and driven to the emergency room and stayed in that emergency room for, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours. I was there a long time. They couldn't get my heart rate down no matter what kind of drugs they gave me. My heart rate wouldn't go down. I freaked completely, and I didn't know what to do about it. They finally got me calmed down enough to where I wasn't frantic and crying, and yelling and stuff, and dismissed me, got me out of there. But man, I'm telling you right now, that's a box opening that you don't want to have open. You want to have control of that, and the only way to have that kind of control is to seek it. You need to see a professional. You need to see a mental health care professional, and you need to talk to them. And you got to get these things out. You have to. Now, I've learned in my experiences, and speaking with Jason Coble, I know he would agree with this. The very best person to talk to is someone that's been there and done that. Unfortunately, in healthcare right now, in mental health care, that's extremely hard to find. With that in mind, where I went, there was a Valor program. I wasn't able to do it because the insurance I carried at the time wouldn't pay for it, and I couldn't afford it. I've spoken with some people back in Kansas City that, have told me that I believe it was somewhere in Georgia, they're building those centers for first responders, and that's a godsend. Ultimately, with this channel, with everything that I put out, I would love to see centers like that across the entire nation, specifically for first responders, and somehow have a mandate in place by the federal government that all first responders are required 3 times a year to go and spend 2 hours with that mental health care professional. Unload some things and be forced to unload it, because God knows, first responders, when you get all tacked up and you've got all your shit on, all your garb and your thigh holster on, all your crap, you feel a little bit bulletproof. And to go from that to saying, yeah, you know what, I need help, that's a huge jump. That's a big jump that hardly anybody's ever going to take. That's why it needs to be mandated. That's why it needs to be forced. Police departments, fire departments, paramedic stations, cities, counties, states, they all need to adopt policies and procedures that demand that when a critical incident takes place, the individuals involved in that critical incident are immediately put on leave. And I'm not talking about an officer involved shooting. Those things are already there. I'm talking about, when a paramedic is on a crime scene, or a fireman ends up using the jaws of life to get a dead body out of a vehicle, that's decapitated, or a cadet goes to goes to his first dead body call and sees the deceased person sitting on the toilet nude, that's been there for 2 months. Those are things that the human mind is not meant to see. It's just not meant to happen. And policies need to be put in place for the first responders to be taken out of that, given a breather, so they can process before they have to go on to another call. And I can only speak from my experience, but I'll tell you right now, after the baby in the pond, if we would have had a barricaded subject immediately after that I needed to go to for my guys, I wouldn't have been functioning. I would not have functioned to the level that they needed me to, and it would have created a very unsafe environment. My decision making would have been hindered so badly. So those things need to be thought about, and things need to be put in place. And if you watch this video and you work for a department or an agency and you have a policy like that in place, find out from your administrators if it's okay. And if they give you the blessing, post it in the comments. Put it out there for other departments to see and post up. They can take it to their administrators, and we can get the ball rolling on these things to get us help at the most basic level there is, which is with our administrators. I hope these things make sense. I hope I'm not rambling on. Forgive the shirt. It's cold out here and it's a warm hoodie. I do like the show, but go Rip. But anyways, that's really all I've got for this video. Unfortunately, I've got to get back and do things. But everybody have a good day, and remember the Venmo and the PayPal. That's what's going to keep this going and bring more information to the public, and hopefully bring more help to our first responders. They're the ones that matter, because if they're gone, or they're not complete when they show up to your home or your business or your car accident, what's going to happen? And that's what I want to leave you with. So everybody enjoy your day, and there'll be more coming. Thank you again from Chiefs Chronicles.